In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about building this bottle shape using a technique called lofting. Lofting is essentially taking a series of sources, and it could be lines or surfaces like I have here, and lining them up strategically so when we essentially string them all together, we get this lofted surface. I'm going to start off by looking at, from the front view. And I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm going to set up just a center line to start to control where I do this. I'm going to start this right on center. And I'm going to make believe that I know that I want this bottle 6 inches tall. So I'm going to go with my line tool and go up into the dialog box here and put in 6. So now I have that exactly 6 inches tall. I'm going to take off our shader and just put it into line. I like to see all the hidden lines. Okay, so now we have that center line. I'm going to go top view. And I'm going to go to my circle tool. And I'm going to do this with the diameter circle tool. And I'm also going to make believe that I know exactly, I want that to be 1.5 inch diameter at the top of my bottle. Now that can be because I'm trying to accommodate a stock closure, or there's a certain finish size that I know that needs to be there. Whatever that might be. So I'm going to set this up right here and then up under diameter. I'm going to put 1.5. So now I have that circle. Select that, move that into position, put that right on center. This is all from the top view. Now I'm also going to make believe that the maximum width of this bottle is going to be 3 inches. So there's many ways to do this. We can use the oval tool. We can use a whole series of different things. I'm going to do this with circles, and I'm just going to scale it to fit. So I'm going to make another circle, and I'm going to make the diameter on that 3 inches. Select that. And move that to center. And I'm going to independently scale that and snap it to that center circle that I have there. So I'm going to click on center. It's going to click on the edge of this. And I'm going to bring it in. And it's going to snap right to that. So now I have these two sources. And they are exactly 1.5 inches deep, front to back. Because I want my bottle to be straight up in the front and the back and just have my unique contour on the sides. That's why I'm ensuring that these are exactly lined up. So now I need a bottom. Since I did start to do this already, I'm going to grab, which one is my bottom? It's the same thing. It's going to be scaling, and you have to experiment a little bit back and forth about how these are going to work. But I'm going to take this one that I have, so I don't have to go through the whole process because it might take a while to do that. Let's view top. I'm going to move one copy. I'm going to take it from this arrangement I had. I'm going to put that on center. And let's just see if this one is as accurate as the rest of them. I'm just going to rotate this, get all my points on one side. So to get this oval, you would just experiment by lofting and looking at that oval. So now what we're going to do is, let me look at this. So now I have all of these ovals, which are going to start to create my bottle, but they're all laying down on the bottom plane. So I'm going to grab the circle, view front, I'm going to move south. I'm going to grab it on center, select it on center, and move it over and put it right on top. So now I know that is exactly that 6-inch dimension that I wanted. It takes a little bit of trial and error to line these up. But to make this go a little bit quicker, I'm going to use what I had done before as a bit of a guide. So you can see I have my lines over here. So now I'm going to move that widest diameter, which is this one right here. Select in the middle, and I'm going to put it, approximately where that was. And I'm clicking to this midpoint here to have it selected. So let's just put that there. So now I have these three sources. And this is where you'll start to experiment with that bottom one. Where is that exactly? But we can start to loft now and take a look. So let's select these in order. You can start at the top or the bottom. So select, hold down Shift or Center Lock for Mac. I'm going to select these three, and then under where the Derive 3, where that radius tool is, I'm going to go down to Tangent Loft. We'll work with this lofting tool right now. Select that, and then just click in space. So now we have this object. It's nice. It's a nice shape, but it's not what I want. I want this straighter edge at the top. And I'm actually going to turn that into a ruled surface, which is where my label area will go. So right now I have this pretty much as a compound curve, except for that front edge. So it's not quite what I want. So let's undo loft. So what I need to do is I need to start to straighten out that top. And I don't know exactly what that's going to be. So we have to take another ellipse, or take, let's say, take the one in the center. Now I'm just going to move a copy of that. Now, again, I'm going to use what I had done before as a guide. So I know it's that second one down. I'm going to line that up approximately where that is. And I'll show you some of this trial and error. I am going to independently scale this because I want the front to back dimension to stay the same, but I want to scale it left to right. So I'm going to go for independent scale. I'm going to do self. I'm going to select the center, select the edge, and I'm going to bring this in. Now I'm guessing. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be. So this will help get me closer to my shape. So let's select all these again. Tangent loft. So now it's starting to do that. We can start to see that top edge getting straighter. So actually, it looks pretty good. That looks pretty straight up there. If I keep that straight, and I have the surface on the front and the side straight, I will have this conical shape at the top where I could wrap a label on it. Let's go back into line, and let's just check. I'm going to move in closer here. So we have that looks a little bit curved. So I'm just going to grab a line, and I'm going to check that. I'm going to snap up to that point, and I'm going to come down here, and you see that it's not quite straight. So what I'll have to do is undo and go back several times. Or what I did in this situation is I built several lines. So now I know these are going to work. So I'm going to bring these over. But it'll take a little bit of trial and error to line these up. So I'm going to grab these three that I had set up. I'm going to move over a copy and snap that right onto my line. So when I created those, I used this guideline. And I guessed I wanted approximately that angle. based on that lofting shape I was creating. So I lined those all up. Again, a little bit of trial and error to see how that was going to work. Now, again, I want to have all these points on one side. So I'm just going to select those lines that I brought over. I'm just going to rotate them to the other side so they line up. And I have them in the back there. So now I want to move them and put them in position. So I'm locking right to the center, always snapping to that center to make sure everything's nice and clean. Let's see if these are lining up here. Huh. So how I didn't snap that on center, something's not lined up. Okay. See how that wasn't perfectly lined up? So now it is. Always double check that. Okay, so now I have my lofts all set up. I have all the points for those lofts on one side. So deselect everything, go back to my pick tool, and I'm just picking from the bottom. You can start from the top if you'd like. Select all these in order as we proceed up. And we're going to go to our tangent loft tool, which is up in the derive. It's the second one over. Oops, I missed a source in there. See that dark, the one that was not illuminated. Okay, there they are. Tangent loft. Now if I click, I should have our nice, clean, beautiful shape. And there it is. So again, we can go back with my guideline. It's going to bring that over. It'll snap to the center on both sides. Now I can see that is lined up perfectly on that edge up to this point, and this is where it starts to curve. So I'm able to label this whole top area right up to that tangent point right there. That I can use as a label area. I kind of want to reserve that for later on when I make a label for this bottle. So now we can look at that. Nice clean shape. Let's do a little double check, and we can click on this other shader, which gives us a little bit more, and it looks like a very nice clean shape. So from the side view, it's straight up. Perfectly straight up, front and back. I have a nice 2-inch diameter at the top. And I have my 3-inch maximum width at the waist area. So I'm just making believe those are things that I need to adhere to for maybe on a retail shelf or in a shipping cart or something like that, or for finishes. So next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I have a perfect parting line. So right now, let's go back to here. I have a center line where the center point on all those circles and ovals is right here. So I want to have one of those on both sides, and that is going to be the parting line for my bottle. I want to know where that is. It's basically the center point on the left and the right. So let's look at from the top view. Let's just draw a line. I'm going to snap on the center. Just come over here enough. This. I'm going to grab that line, select that line. I'm going to move it over about here. I'm going to take that line and I'm going to trim this shape in half on that line, with that line. So if we go to our modify area here, go to trim split, select line. So now I'm going to click on this object, our bottle. and I want to cut it with that line. So now I have half that shape, perfectly on center. This particular bottle is going to be symmetrical front and back. So I know all I need to do is I'm going to mirror, or in this case, I could rotate one copy. I'm going to select the center. Now I have the front and back of this bottle. There's two separate surfaces, but we can stitch them together as we proceed into the next phase. So now I have this bottle. I'm going to deselect that. And I have my parting line, my center line, left and right on this. So I know that that's how that's going to come out of the tool, and that's centered. So now I have this bottle. I have a controlled top surface for my finish. I have controlled the width and the depth of this bottle, and I have my parting line lined up. So that's it for this tutorial. We're going to take this bottle and evolve this with some details in later sessions.